Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the first virtual cruise event with Fusion Cruises. And I'm delighted that our first event is going to be hosted and operated by our good friends at AmaWaterways. It's great to see so many attendees on this event, and I hope you find the content very helpful for your next adventure, and hopefully a river cruise adventure with AmaWaterways. That is pretty much all from me. I'm going to just hand you over to your presenter for the evening, a lovely chap called John, who's going to take the reins from here on in and tell you everything you need to know about AmaWaterways. So over to you, John.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Harry. And I'd just like to say, first of all, a massive thank you to Harry and the team at Fusion for giving us the opportunity, really, to talk to you today about our wonderful river cruises throughout Europe and the rest of the world. Greetings as well from Western Supermare. It's a bit strange doing these things because we're all over the place from different parts of the country. So we're in Western Supermare. I was a bit concerned 2 minutes ago. We had a big thunderstorm and I was thinking, oh no, I'm going to compete with the thunder and the lightning, but it seems to have ebbed away. So that's quite fortunate. Just in case there's any hitches, we have a lady called Rachel Simon, and she's in attendance as well. She's from Worcestershire, so she's here just to take the reins should any problems come along, because technology is very reliable these days, but we have to be all prepared here. So if there is a little bit of a problem, then do bear with us for 2 minutes, and we'll have to switch to presenters. But hopefully that won't be the case. What the purpose of today really is to give you an insight into river cruising and to give you an insight into the world of AmaWaterways. We'll run through the destinations we feature. We're going to take you through 3 key rivers, some lovely photographs and pictures there to see. Hopefully we'll bring it to life a little bit for you. And just so you know as well, there's a question box there on your panels. If you have any questions at all, just fill in the question in the box. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll be able to answer those questions. Don't worry if you can't think of anything, because you can. Harry will follow up afterwards, and if there's any questions you've got after the presentation, and Harry will be very, very pleased to assist out on those as well. So without further ado, let me take you around the rivers of Europe. But first and foremost, we're going to switch the cameras off. We thought it'd be nice just to see who we are before the presentation starts. But to make the screen a bit bigger, we're going to switch the cameras off as we take you through the rivers of Europe. Okay, so off we go. First of all, before I run through the destinations and about our ships, just tell you a bit about AmaWaterways, because we're not necessarily a big household name, but we are a huge player in the luxury river cruise market. We're actually a family-owned company. We've operated since 2002. In fact, it's our 18th birthday coming up, 1st of July 2002, the company was established. We are a family-run company, and that's one of the best things really about AmaWaterways, because that family feel is very much evident on the ships as well. Once you step on board, the guests are part of the AMA family, and you're treated as such by the crew, by the fellow guests on board the ship. It really is a fantastic atmosphere to cruise in. So our owners are a gentleman called Rudy and a lady called Christine, towards the left of the photograph you see in the middle. They're actually a husband and wife team. They're married. Rudy Schreider, the owner, he actually established river cruising in Europe. He was the first gentleman to launch a river cruise product in Europe. He chartered the first river cruise ship, and then he brought river cruising into the States. We have a third owner, a gentleman called Gary Murphy as well, as you can see there, and his father, Jimmy Murphy, was one of the original founders of the company. We are an award-winning river cruise line. We have got a fleet of 25 ships, so it's pretty expansive. 23 of those are in Europe. We have 1 in the Mekong, in Vietnam, Cambodia, and 1 on the Chobe River in Africa. All but 1 of those ships is completely owned by AmaWaterways. We completely own our ships. We completely paid them off with. They're completely financed with. Obviously, it's very important sort of to know that in these days. The one that we don't physically own is the one that does the Chobe River in Africa. It's a ship called the ZAMBEZI Queen. We charter that particular vessel, which you can see just on the right-hand side there of your screen. And I'll tell you a bit about the Africa cruises a bit later on, because they are sensational itineraries. They really, really are. But we are the biggest luxury player in Europe. So 23 of those European ships, we are a 5-star luxury brand. 23 of those ships are in Europe, and we have the largest European luxury fleet out on the rivers. We've all, as I mentioned earlier, we're award-winning. But one of the biggest accolades I can really present to you is there's a guidebook called Blitz. We've probably all heard of Blitz guides. They do guidebooks for cities around the world. They do an ocean cruise guidebook. They also do a river cruise guidebook. There are 320 river ships around Europe currently. We actually have the top 3 rated ships in that guidebook, which is a massive accolade and really brings into play all the things I'm going to tell you about in a while. So we outscore everybody on the service levels we provide, on the culinary aspect of the cruise, the accommodation, the actual excursion programs we offer, and the hardware, the ships themselves, and the innovative design that we actually bring to our ships. All those 5 categories we have the highest rated scores for. Top rated ship is one called the AMA Christina, which you can see in the picture there. And she cruises on the Rhine generally. Then we have the AMA Viola number 2, and we have the AMA Stella number 3. But not only that, we have we have 6 of the top 10. The only other company in the top 10 is a company called Crystal Cruise Lines. So very well thought of in the river cruise industry. And this is why, I mean, our ships are very much like floating boutique hotels. You know, they are 5-star, but they're not pretentious in any way. It's a very relaxed feel on board. We feel that everybody would be really, really comfortable on board the ships. It's more like a luxury home from home experience. So this is the kind of lobby area which you're going to find on most of our ships. This is actually on the ship called the AMA Prima. But a beautiful, beautiful decor, lots of light, lots of space, very, very elegant. In fact, space, which is obviously an important feature these days with the situation we're in, the maximum we take on board the ships is around about 160 guests on the majority of our ships. Some are actually smaller than that, so we don't carry that many guests. There's plenty of space for everybody to walk around. This gives you an idea of a lounge on the AMA Christina, actually, this one. Beautiful, tasteful decorations in the lounge, very well decored. You've got the bar there, you've got a dance floor, there's a central section where we have kind of midnight buffets and snacks and things like that which come out, and there's a small observation section right at the front of the ship as well, which you can go out of, and obviously there's outdoor space too. But it's very much a social environment, this lounge area. This is where we'll do our kind of 6 o'clock, we do our sip and sail cocktail hours here, where you'll get the kind of briefing for what's happening the next day, just go over what's happened the day, the trips that you've been on, and there's a good chance to interact with fellow guests. This is where we'll have the entertainment in the evenings as well. We have anything from string quartets right through to rock and roll music to Abbey tribute nights. You know, we have all sorts of different things going on board the ships. And more importantly, we've got the bar there as well, and coffee stations, which are open 24 hours a day. We've also got beautiful libraries again. As I mentioned, the home from home feel, it really does continue throughout the ship. And other facilities you'll find on board, there's hair salons, there's beauty salons, we've also got gift shops, and lots and lots of deck space. One of my favourite areas actually is out on the deck. I mean, with river cruising, I think one of the most beautiful aspects is the fact that you can see the scenery as you're passing by. So, you know, take the picture here, you've got going through the Danube River. You've got hills, you've got valleys all the way around you, and when the weather's really, really nice and hot and sunny, there's nothing better than to be out on the sun deck. The ships themselves, although they take around 150, 160 guests, they are about 100 metres long, so there's plenty of space, lots of sun lounges, lots of shaded areas to sit in, and we've also got this swim-up bar area, so we've got a swimming pool. It's not Olympic size, I will give you that, but it's got a bar at the end, so it doesn't take too much effort to get to it. So again, once you're wanting to cool off with the beautiful scenery around you, there's nothing better than taking a drink in the bar and chatting to other guests as you do so. That's on all of our ships, apart from the 4 ships which don't have a pool tend to have just a jacuzzi instead, but again, it's got the same sort of environment. It's really, really beautiful. Stateroom-wise, we're very lucky at AmaWaterways to be the pioneers of these twin balcony staterooms. They are revolutionary, and around 70% of our occupancy, 70% of our capacity is going to be something like this. It's the best of both worlds. You have two balconies, so if the weather's not so good, like here at Weston-super-Mare tonight, and it's raining a little bit, and you want to sort of stay in, but you still want to open those doors out and still capture those views, then you can sit in the section just towards the right. You've got the table and chairs there inside the cabin, but you can open the French balcony in front of you. But on the other side, if the weather's nice and sunny and you want to go outside and enjoy the sun, then you can go out on the full outdoor balcony, which again has got furniture, and enjoy a drink outside. So the best of both worlds. Now, these staterooms are around about 210 to 235 square foot. So they're not too dissimilar in size to some of the suites of some of the luxury cruise ships. I know with Silver Sea, for instance, the suites start around 240 square foot. So they're pretty much the same size as one of those suites. So that does surprise a lot of people, because sometimes the perception of river cruising is the cabins and staterooms can be quite small, but they're not at all. They're really, really spacious. They've got plenty of storage space. We've got in-house movie channels. Wi-Fi is available in all the staterooms. We've got fridges, which are stocked up with waters and throughout the day. You've got a marble bathroom with power shower. So all the mod cons, all the facilities you need will be there in your stateroom. We also have French balcony only staterooms, and we have window view staterooms only. Not many of those, but we do have a few. And we also have suites on the higher levels too. And the suites tend to have bathtubs. Plus, you get also the advantage of having complimentary laundry services throughout your cruise. Other things to tell you about our ships, we were the first company out there to have bicycles on board. You can't use them on board, obviously, because it's a bit difficult, but you can take them out when we're actually in the destinations, when we're in the ports, when we're in the towns we're visiting. We always do guided bike tours every single day. So if you're a keen cyclist, you'll love a river cruise experience, and certainly with AmaWaterways. If you want to go off and do your own thing, you don't have to do one of the guided tours. You can just take a couple of bikes and go off and do your own thing as well. No problem at all. And they're all complimentary. As I mentioned earlier, complimentary Wi-Fi throughout the ships. A very important factor these days. It probably wasn't so maybe 5-10 years ago, but nowadays everybody needs a complimentary Wi-Fi. It is unlimited, and it is completely complimentary throughout the ship. So that's the public areas, that's the outdoor space, as well as your staterooms. Okay, now moving on to one of the most important factors of a cruising holiday, and this is where river cruising is really no exception to some of the best ocean cruise liners out there, is the dining. And at AmaWaterways, we're proud to be partners to the Champ de Rotterdam, which is a French dining association. You can only be a member by invitation only, so your food has to reach a particular high standard before they even invite you. So we're very proud to be members of the Champ de Rotterdam. The food is really breathtaking on board, it really is, and there's plenty of choices of dining options as well. We also do, before dinner in the evening, a wonderful, wonderful sip and sail cocktail hour. I kind of mentioned that earlier when I showed you the picture of the lounge. So we have complimentary cocktails, champagnes, beers, soft drinks, spirits, wines, pretty much whatever you want, pre-dinner from between 6 and 7 in the bar. And we have a wonderful selection of canopies to go along with that as well. So that's all included. Then you have the dining options. So the main restaurant, as you can see here, is open for breakfast in the morning. Now, breakfast is going to change a little bit over the course of time with this situation we're in. This is where we used to have the buffet breakfast, but pretty much certain now buffet breakfast will be a thing of the past, and it will be served to you. So this is where you have your breakfast in the morning. We also do a late riser breakfast, and an early riser breakfast as well. So you've got those options too in the lounge. About mid-morning, we'll bring out the coffee and the cakes, just in case you're a bit peckish. And then around lunchtime, we have a wonderful selection of food. We really, really do. So again, the main restaurant, you have dining option here, or you can go into the lounge where we have a lighter lunch selection. Or sometimes we'll do actually a barbecue out on deck as well. So plenty of choices there for lunch. Some of my favourite lunches on board the ship, we do a lot of theme lunches. So, for instance, I was on a cruise last October around the Bordeaux region of France, and we had this oyster and champagne lunch. It was amazing. It really, really was, with other seafood available as well. So if you like your seafood, those sort of theme dining options we do for lunch are very, very pretty much every single cruise we do. So look out for those. They really are fantastic. Then we bring out the afternoon tea about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, with lots of cakes, gâteaux, sandwiches, teas and coffees. It's all there. And then you've got your sip and sail cocktail hour before your dinner around 7 o'clock in the evening. Now, dinner in the evening is open dining. You don't have a set table. You can sit where you want. As long as you're sat down by 8:30, then that's absolutely fine. The dining starts at 7 o'clock. We tend to find most of our guests will dine around 7:30. But you're quite welcome if you're a late eater to join the dining room a little bit later on if you want to. So that's the main restaurant. But with AmaWaterways, we're all about choice and flexibility. So we also have on our ships at least one additional restaurant, and that's called the Chef's Table Restaurant. It only takes 28 guests, and it is incredible dining. It really is. This is where you'll have a 7-course taster menu, and it's a unique dining option. You can probably see on the top right there, you actually have the chef creating the food and preparing all the food in front of your very eyes. And it's right at the back of the ship. You've got these great panoramic viewpoints all the way around while you're dining. So an incredible dining option. It's completely complimentary. We don't charge for this dining option. And you book it on board ship, but we make sure that everybody has the opportunity to dine in here at least once during your cruise. Special occasions, it's wonderful to dine in there. My daughter was, we had her 19th birthday in this restaurant, and there was a gentleman from the States who was also celebrating his 70th birthday. And it was great because there was 2 parties kind of going on at once, and it was a great, great occasion. You are here all night. I mean, dining in the Chef's Table Restaurant, this one is a set table time. It's generally about 6:30, 7 o'clock to start because you're grazing for literally 3 to 4 hours. It's a fantastic dining experience, it really is. And we have different wine pairings for each course as well, so just to make the experience even better. So what else do we do at AmaWaterways? We include in your fare up to 4 complimentary shore excursions in every single port of call that you visit. So it's all again about flexibility. So depending on your own personal interests, so sometimes they might be a walking tour of a town or a city that we're visiting. Sometimes it might be a culinary tour taking you to local food halls, culinary schools, that type of thing. We'll take you to truffle farms in France, all sorts of different options there. It could be a wine tasting, which are very, very popular, it has to be said. We do those pretty frequently throughout Europe. It could be a coach tour up to a historic castle or monument, or it could be a hike or a biking tour, because we also do the active choices as well. So this is really, really getting more popular. So we have a fleet of bicycles on board, as I mentioned earlier, and there will be bike tours from anything from an hour and a half to 2 hours, all the way through to longer bike tours where you can actually cycle between 2 towns. So as you can see from the picture here, this is in Dürnstein on the Danube. The ship is sailing. It's not that the cyclists have missed the ship and saying, please stop, wait for me. It's the fact that they're actually going to be cycling until the next town while the ship is sailing. So that's an option which is available on our cruises as well, if you are a keen cyclist. And believe me, it does get very competitive because the cyclists want to try and beat the ship. So if you do that option, it is really good fun. The hiking tours we do, if you're more into walking, then you'll probably picture the castle, the fortress there above the town of Dürnstein. So one of the excursions in Dürnstein will be to hike up to that fortress and take a look at the breathtaking views at the top. So that's another option which we'll do. So we'll do things for active-minded people, those who want the wine tasting, the culinary, the walking tours, the coach touring. There's up to 4 choices a day. So you just choose on board ship what one you're wanting to do. If you do choose a walking tour, we do split the walking tours in different groups. So you choose the pace you want to go as well. So if you're like me, I'm quite a fast walker, so I like the active ones, which are quite fast-paced, but really good fun. But if you want something a little bit more gentle and relaxed, Then we do gentle walking paces, and we do a regular one, which is kind of in the middle as well. So again, plenty of choices. But because we offer so many choices, it means that the group sizes we offer are much, much smaller. So you tend to find this like one guide to around 12 to 15 guests, which is a really, really personal sort of ratio. So you can get up close to the guide, understand what they're doing, what they're talking through. You're not going to be sort of surrounded by other guides, 60 people in a big long line. It's a much more personal experience than that. Other things we do, wellness programs on board the ship. So if you like your yoga and your Pilates, then you can do that on the river cruise as well with AmaWaterways. There's no problem at all. We have wellness hosts on every single voyage we have in Europe. And the wellness host will put together a program of events. So it could be anything from Pilates to yoga to stretching classes, core strengthening. Sometimes they're a bit more intensive if you want that. So plenty of choices, anything from beginner all the way through. Has to be said though, the most popular class we do is one called Champagne Yoga. It's quite amazing. You have to bend down to reach this champagne which is on the floor. It's all about core strengthening apparently, but I'm sure there's lots of cheating going on in the room and they just pick up the champagne glass while the instructor isn't looking. But that's something which we do at AmaWaterways as well. If you like to keep fit, we have fitness rooms. And we also have the spa facility on board, so massage and spa treatments are available for our guests on board the ships too. Okay, so that gives you a bit of an idea about life on board and what facilities you're going to find on board one of our river ships. What I want to do now is take you through Europe, take you through the different destinations that we go through, and also tell you about some of the long-haul destinations which we cover as well, because it's not all about Europe. The majority of things we do are in Europe, but we also have a ship in Vietnam on the Mekong and also Africa and the Nile, which is a new destination opening up for 2021. So we'll cover those in a second. But first and foremost, just to summarise where we go in Europe, and then I'm going to take you through 3 of the itineraries in a bit more depth so you can see some pictures and see what it's really, really like and the images and rolling hillsides as you cruise through Europe. So first and foremost, Portugal, we do the Douro down in Portugal there. From Porto back to Porto, but we also do a cruise which will start in Madrid. You'll fly to Madrid and then you'll do a 3-night pre-cruise stay in Madrid before you go to a place called Vega Teron, and then you'll do a 7-night cruise to Porto. So we feature that. We do 3 French rivers, so I'll tell you about Bordeaux separately, but we also do the Seine. I'll cover that a little bit at the end because Harry and Fusion are going to be doing a special trip in 2021 on the Seine, which we'll tell you about. We also go down the Rhone in the southern area of France too, from Lyon down to Arles in practically close to the Mediterranean there. Central Europe, we do the Moselle and the Main rivers. We do the Danube and the Rhine, which I'll cover in more detail in a second for you. And we also do the Dutch waterways, the Holland and Belgium area of Europe too, especially for the tulips around springtime. So we do a lot of cruising around then. And one other area we go to is the Danube, but it's the lower Danube. We do a cruise from Budapest all the way down towards the Black Sea to a place called Giurgiu in Romania. And that is a wonderful, wonderful experience. It really is. You go through 5 countries, Serbia, Hungary, Croatia, Bulgaria and Romania. So if you want more of an Eastern European aspect to your cruise, then that is a fantastic itinerary which we also offer. But if you've never done a river cruise before, or you want a river cruise which really offers something for everybody, then I would consider the Danube River as one of the best ports of call, really. And predominantly the central itinerary you've got here, the Melodies of the Danube. This is a cruise from Budapest to Wilshofen in Germany, and I'll touch on that one now for you. I'll go through some slides. We also do cruises starting in Nuremberg, so a little bit deviating off the one I mentioned. So if you like your World War II history, obviously with Nuremberg, we take you to the courtrooms, the Nazi courtrooms, the trial rooms. We take you to where they have the Nazi rallies. You'll see a lot of the old town, the places where they buried all the kind of the treasure in the town of Nuremberg to stop it being damaged by bombs. And you've also got, as I mentioned before, the Gems of Southeast Europe, which covers those 5 Eastern European countries. But let me take you through the most popular Danube cruise we do, which is called Melodies of the Danube, from Budapest to Bielshofen. You can do this the other way around as well. You can do it from Bielshofen to Budapest. But obviously the itinerary, the places you visit are going to be exactly the same. Depends which way around you want to do it. But first and foremost, I would recommend doing it this way around, doing it the Melodies of the Danube way, because you start off with a big international city. So we start off with Budapest. You actually get 2 days in Budapest. So it's plenty of free time. You arrive on day 1. You get yourself settled into your stateroom to see the ship. You can go off and explore Budapest at your leisure on the first day. Come back for the captain's welcome party around 6 o'clock. And then the second day is when we do all the excursions. So we offer different types of things there in Budapest. So we do the walking tours around the city to see the Parliament buildings, the Great Market Hall. We'll take you on the Queen of the Danube tour, which is amazing. You'll see the Pest side and the Buda side of Budapest. We do a hike up to Castle Hill, which is on the Pest side, I think, of the river. But it looks quite hilly from the one aspect, but it's not too bad, actually. I've done that myself, but we do that too. And there's lots of, as I mentioned, the walking tours, different paces you can go on as well. So 2 full days in Budapest, well worth seeing, a beautiful, beautiful city. And again, one of the beautiful things about river cruising is the fact the ships are docked right in the heart of the city that you're visiting. So with Budapest, you're literally only 3-4 minutes away from the Parliament buildings you see here. So when you've got your free day in Budapest, it's very easy just to get off the ship and explore at your leisure as well. Next stop is Bratislava in Slovakia. Now, Bratislava is one of those kind of more unknown European destinations. It's kind of up and coming. It's a very modern city, but there's still plenty of history in the area as well. And again, we take you on the hikes. We take you up to the castle. You probably just make out on the top there. You've got the big white building in the centre, but right at the top, you've got the castle. We do hikes up there. It's a walled city, so we do some fantastic walking tours around Bratislava as well. There's also one called the Taste of Slovakia tour. So if you like your beer, we do some beer tasting as well on that particular trip. Now, one of my favourite cities in Europe has to be Vienna, and we call it here on day 3. So this is one of the only cities really, or one of the only places on the itinerary where the ship actually docks a little way from the city centre, because the Danube doesn't actually flow through the centre of Vienna. But what we do, we take you by coach into Vienna Central. We'll do a coach tour around some of the buildings and some of the sites to see. And then we'll drop you in the centre of Vienna, and we'll do a 2-hour walking tour. So we're getting different pace levels. So you'll see the same things, just at different pace levels. So things like the Spanish riding school, you will get the chance to see that. Then what will happen, you'll get a bit of free time, and then we'll take you back to the ship for lunch. And then in the afternoon, you can go back to Vienna. We run a shuttle service from the ship to the city. So if you want to go back and do your own thing, then you've got that opportunity to do that. We also do a separate tour to Schönbrunn Palace up in the north of the city, which is a fantastic place to go and see as well. And then in the evening, we do the wonderful, wonderful classical concerts in Vienna, which you'll have the opportunity to go and see as well. The ship doesn't sail until very much into the early hours. I think it's around 3 a.m. So there's plenty of time to experience all of that in Vienna. So that's where you get the cities done. So on this way of doing it, you get the Melodies of the Danube trip, you get all the cities done first, and then you start to unwind and relax and come into the beautiful Wachau Valley of Austria. It really is dramatic scenery at its best. You'll go through all these small, charming towns and villages, and we always cruise. When we're doing the scenic cruising, we're making sure we're on the ship, so you get the opportunity to see these incredible views as you sail past. But the Wachau Valley is actually a UNESCO heritage site. It's a protected site. You've got vineyards rolling right down to the riverside, and some of the most amazing towns and villages with historical buildings and medieval squares as you pass through. And some of these places we'll go to. So we'll go and see Greinberg Castle as we pass through, but you can see that. Again, you can see the beautiful scenery around you. We dock in a place called Weißenkirchen in Austria, surrounded by vineyards, as you can see. And from Weißenkirchen, we'll take you to Dürnstein. We mentioned that earlier with this beautiful blue-spired church. It only has a population of about 160 people, Dernstein, so it's a very small village. But I mentioned you've also got the castle hike option there as well. There's actually a small beach, so if you want to relax and do a bit of sunbathing, you can actually do that in Dernstein too, along the banks of the river. And we also go to the wonderful Melk Abbey in a little town called Melk. The abbey is a Benedictine abbey, and from the top you get these incredible views of the Danube. But the actual abbey is a joy to behold. It really is. You know, stately rooms, gold is everywhere. So a breathtaking experience, your trip to Melk Abbey. And we also do cycle tours, as I mentioned before, where you can actually cycle from Weissenkirchen to Dernstein if you prefer, rather than staying on the ship. It's entirely up to you. Next up, we have Linz in Austria. Now, Linz itself is the third largest city in Austria. We have a couple of hours there in the morning. You've got the option of doing a walking tour, but also a cycling tour around Linz. And then you've got the option of doing 2 excursions to some different style of places. So first and foremost, you've got the option of going to Salzburg in Austria. It's about an hour and a half coach journey from Linz. But a wonderful, wonderful city to see. Obviously very famous for sound of music and Mozart and that type of thing. It's really, really is gorgeous. So good chance to go and see Salzburg. But if you prefer, we also do an excursion to Český Krumlov, which is in the Czech Republic. Now, I took my parents-in-law on the Danube a couple of years ago, and my father-in-law, he just fell in love with Český Krumlov. He really did. It was his favourite destination on the actual itinerary. And again, it's a protected city. It's a UNESCO city. It's a heritage site. It's well preserved. It's medieval, old walls around the city. It really is beautiful. So if you've not done, maybe been to the Czech Republic before, you arrive at Linz, it's a good opportunity to go and see another country and maybe do Salzburg another time. Or if you're really into the Mozart and sound music, then obviously Salzburg is a really, really good place to visit as well. Okay, next up we have Passau in Germany. Passau is it's basically a town on the tributary of we've got 3 rivers surrounding this town. You can see that the old town is on a bit of a peninsula. At the top of the old town, you can probably make out the White Cathedral, the London Icing White Cathedral. It really is beautiful. It's got the largest pipe organ in the world in that cathedral in Passau. But Passau really is a maze of cobbled streets and medieval squares, and it's a wonderful place to walk around. So we do those walking tours, as I mentioned earlier, Passau, and also plenty of free time as well. And then we finish a cruise in Wilshofen in Germany. Now, Wilshofen is a very tranquil port. It's a little bit unique to AmaWaterways. There's not really any other ships that go there. So we have the town to ourselves. It is a German beer town. So there is Oktoberfest pretty much all the time. So if you like your beer, I think it's well worth going to experience the different beers on offer. They have their own brewery there, but the actual town itself is again a lovely maze of cobbled streets and medieval square. So it's well worth going into in its own right. That is Wilshofen. So we overnight in Wilshofen, whichever way round you do it. So plenty of time for beer tasting and a bit of fun before you start or finish your Danube cruise. So that gives you a little bit of an idea about the Danube. Now, we have one of our ships on the Danube. It's called the AMA Magna, and I will just take you through this ship because we have, this is the only wide-bodied ship out on the rivers. She takes a few more guests. She takes 190 guests, this one. But because it's double the width, it only takes around 30 more people than the other ships. It's actually, again, incredibly spacious, as you can probably picture you can see from the picture you see in front of you. Plenty of deck space again. You've got a lovely pool area with a jacuzzi and a swimming pool with a separate bar, plenty of sun lounges around the swimming pool. So it's a bit more of a resort style swimming pool area. We have a golf putting green. Again, plenty of places to relax and sunbathe, as well as the shaded areas as well. Inside you have different restaurants. So we actually have 4 dining options on board the AMA Magna. So the main restaurant you see here. Lovely picture postcard windows all the way around the main restaurant. Really is beautiful. But we also have the chef's table, as I mentioned earlier. That is on board the AMA Magna. You can see the kitchen area is actually directly inside the restaurant on this particular ship. We have Jimmy's Wine Bar Restaurant. This has got a kind of Irish theme to it. Jimmy Murphy, as I mentioned before, was one of the co-founders of the company. He was an Irish gentleman. So we've named the Wine Bar Restaurant after him. You've got these long kind of tables with the menu. So it's a really kind of social aspect to our dining. It's a really, really great, fun place to dine. And then last dining option we have is al fresco, which is, it's towards the front of the ship there. You've got kind of these windows in the ceilings which retract. So in the summer months, we can let all the air and the breezes in whilst you're dining. You can have breakfast in here, you can have lunch in here, and also an amazing dining experience in the evening as well. So the Ama Magna, if you're used to more dining options, maybe you've done an ocean cruise with lots of different restaurants, then the great thing with the Ama Magna does give you those dining options to enjoy. They're all included in the fare, and again, you book them on board the ship. You've got the onboard cinema on board, which we use quite frequently. You can, if it's a group of you, you can just use it. It takes about 20 people in the cinema itself. And the accommodation on the Ama Magna, you've got suites, you've got staterooms with balconies, you've got window staterooms, but the suites are huge. I mean, they start at 355 square foot and go up to 710 square foot. So some really large suite accommodation there as well. If you like to keep active and fit, we have a Zen wellness bar. This is fruit juices and vegetable juices. It's got light lunch options in there as well. And on the other side to it, you've got the fitness studio. And just behind it, you've got all the spas. So you've got 4 different treatment rooms. You've got the hair salon. So a lot more spa facility on board the Ama Magna as well. And speaking of which, we also have spinning, but the spinning bikes are actually outside. So whilst you're spinning, you're taking the wonderful viewpoints all the way around you. Okay, so that's the Ama Magna. So that's available on the Danube River. Pretty much the itinerary I mentioned earlier, the Melodies of a Danube trip. We run the Ama Magna on that particular journey. The Ama Magna also goes on the Gems of Southeast Europe. It's the one that covers Budapest down to Giurgiu in Romania. So you've got 2 options there on board the Ama Magna. So next up, I'm just going to talk you through the Rhine River. So the Rhine is probably one of our most popular, again, destinations. The Danube and the Rhine are 2 of the bigger sellers. But this is my first river cruise experience, and it's really one to enjoy the whole. It's fantastic places, again, you're going to visit all the way around. And one thing which you'll find with the Rhine, again, it's very diverse, a bit like the Danube. There's plenty of different things there. Variations of things to do. So you've got the big cities like Amsterdam and Cologne, but you've also got some of the more tranquil aspects as well. So the main itinerary we do is one called the Captivating Rhine, and we do also the Enchanting Rhine. It's a bit like the Danube. You can start in Amsterdam and finish in Basel, or you do the Enchanting Rhine and you start in Basel and you finish in Amsterdam. So it doesn't really matter which way around you do it. The itinerary is pretty much the same. So first and foremost, again, you arrive in the city of Amsterdam. We spend 2 days here. Again, there's a bit of free time on day one. The ship, again, it docks right in the heart of the city, pretty close to the grand railway station there. So if you've been to Amsterdam before, you may know where I'm talking about. The central railway station is as central as you can be, really, in Amsterdam. And the ships are literally the other side of the road to the railway station by the river there. So easy to arrive on board the ship. And then enjoy the city on your own. Come back to the ship for 6 p.m. for the captain's cocktail welcome party. Then on day 2, we do all the excursions. So we'll take you on a canal cruise around Amsterdam's canals. We do a guided walking tour of the city as well. And then you move on to the next destination, which is Cologne. Now, we spend a night on board the ship. I mean, with the Rhine River, the difference between the Rhine and the Danube, the Rhine, you tend to find there are 3 nights where you actually overnight on board. The ship's sailing at night on the Rhine 3 nights out of 7. With the Danube, it doesn't tend to be that. You tend to be docked at night in the towns and cities you visit. But one of the stops here is Cologne. So after Amsterdam, you have a night on board the ship and then you arrive into Cologne. Now, Cologne is very famous for its Gothic cathedral, as you can see from the picture there. So we run different excursions. You've got the Gothic cathedral trip, the medieval square around the cathedral. We also do the walking tours of Cologne. We do the beer tasting, the Kirsch beer tasting, which you can do in Cologne as well, and the bicycle tours along the Rhine. So different ones there. Next up is along the Rhine. We call this the Rhine Gorge region. So again, this is kind of the beauty point of the Rhine River. So there's around 30 different castles out on the hillsides there. And whilst you're cruising, we do this during the daytime. You're on board the ship, you're enjoying the viewpoints all the way around you. And there's actually commentary. So the cruise manager will go through all the different aspects of it. They'll go through all the history of the different castles you're seeing, all the different Rhine-side towns you're cruising through. So places like Boppard, which is one of the oldest spa towns in Germany. You'll get a chance to see that. You'll go to places like Königswinter, and also Rüdesheim. We stop at Rüdesheim, which is a beautiful hilly town, small town, but it's got this one street which is just full of German pubs, apparently. I think every single building is a pub along there. So if you want a beer, then that's the place to go. We also do an excursion up to the top. It's a gondola ride. So you do a gondola ride trip to the top, and again, you get some great viewpoints of Rüdesheim and the valley below. So some great trips there in Rüdesheim in Germany. Next up, we do Heidelberg in Germany. Famous for its castle, as you can see from the picture here. And then after you visit the castle, we'll take you down, to the old town, and you'll get plenty of time to see the old town and get a bit of free time as well. Another excursion we do in Heidelberg is actually to do the Philosopher's Path hike. So on the opposite side to the town, you've got this kind of beautiful scenic area, and you can climb to the top of the hill there, Philosopher's Path it's called, and you'll get some great viewpoints of Heidelberg on the other bank of the river. So some good options there. So if you like your hiking, you've got an option. If you like your touring, there's an option there as well to enjoy in Heidelberg. And then we've got Strasbourg. Now, this is one of the probably surprising places in Europe, I would say, because Strasbourg is very much known for the EU buildings and that side of things, but it's not known so much for its beauty and its attractions. So it was one of my biggest surprises, to be honest, when I went on the Rhine, was Strasbourg in France. This picture you see here is a district called Petit France in Strasbourg. And we'll take you there. You get the chance to enjoy walking around Petit France, and it's just literally full of these beautifully coloured medieval buildings around canals. There's pavement cafes, there's bars, there's gift shops, there's patisseries, there's all sorts of things there to enjoy. And you'll spend an afternoon in Petit France very, very easily. It's a stunning place to visit. And maybe about 5-minute walk from Petit France, you've got the Cathedral of Strasbourg. And around the cathedral, you've got the square and a maze of cobbled streets where they have Christmas markets in the winter time. So a really, really beautiful city is Strasbourg, and one I'd certainly definitely recommend going to at some point. We spend the day in Strasbourg, so you've got plenty of time to experience it. And you can do it by walking, or you can do it by cycling. So you've got the two options there within Strasbourg. And there's also an option to do some wine tasting. So that's another option as well, which we do there too. Now, next up is Riquewihr in France. Now, we dock in a place called Breisach, and you've got the opportunity in Breisach to do a Black Forest trip. So if you like your scenery, then there's a trip to see the Black Forest of Germany. But if you like to see quaint, small, medieval towns like I do, this place really is charming. It's called Riquewihr. You start the day with some wine tasting around about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, just to start you off. And then we'll take you to Riquewihr itself. And Riquewihr is a charming town. It's like a fairy tales village that you see in those fairy tale books. In fact, it's where it inspired Disney to film Beauty and the Beast. So some of the filming of the recent 2 years ago, I think it was out, the Beauty and the Beast movie, was actually filmed in Riquewihr here in France. It has got that kind of medieval fairy tale look to it. It is really, really beautiful and charming, and certainly worth going to see. And then last but not least, we take you to Basel in Switzerland. And again, we overnight in Basel, so plenty of time to see the old town, as you can see from the picture here. Beautiful, beautiful city. The ship docks in the kind of more modern district, but it's only around about a 10-minute walk into the old town from there as well. So very, very close by. Okay, so that gives you an idea what to see on the Rhine. Now, just tell you quickly about the French River. So we do the Seine, which I'll touch on in a second. We do the Rhone River from Lyon down to Avignon. And we also do the Bordeaux region. I'm just going to show you just a few pictures of the Bordeaux cruise, which I did in October. It's a 7-night cruise from Bordeaux back to Bordeaux. A very easy city to get to, from regional airports as well as London. So it's very, very straightforward. And this is what you're going to experience on this particular cruise. Some of the highlights, really. So you start. One of the highlights for me was going to the village of Saint-Emilion. It reminded me of the village in Allo Allo, the sitcom, which was dated now. I'm not sure when it was out, the 80s, early 90s. But a beautiful, beautiful centre there. You can see a lovely square with the cafes and everybody's out socialising. You've got the wonderful church with the underground catacombs you can visit. And you've got the macaroon places where they stock all these wonderful macaroons you can eat. And again, lots of wine. The Bordeaux region obviously is very, very famous for its wine production. And what we'll do in Saint-Emilion, you'll see the town, the village in the morning, and then we'll take you to the wine tasting in the afternoon. We also go to a place called Libourne. Libourne is very much a French market town, and the markets are sublime here, they really are. And if you like just nosing around the different market stores with all the fresh produce and the groceries and the fish and the meat dishes they've got out there, there's plenty of things to see. It really is in Libourne market. This is the country market here. You can spend a couple of hours easily just looking through these fascinating market stores of this incredibly beautiful fresh produce that they serve here. There's also a very good chocolatier in Libourne, so if you like your chocolate, I also recommend popping into that shop too. We go to Roquelaure Castle, which is actually owned by a count and countess who actually take you around the castle itself. So you're guided through the castle by the owners, the count and countess who actually live in the castle today. So it makes it a little bit more genuine, a bit more authentic, and a really incredible experience. And you've guessed it, we'll do the castle visit in the morning, and in the afternoon we do some wine tasting. There's actually some sweet wines in the Bordeaux region, and you'll do the castle in the morning and you'll experience the sweet wines of Bordeaux in the afternoon. Plenty of chateaux to see as you cruise, as you experience this region, and we cruise through these towns and villages. This is just one of the chateaux, but there's plenty. The wine producers have these wonderful chateaux which you get the chance to see. You'll get the chance to see the wine, the vineyards, see how they produce the wine, and obviously the wine cellars, and then obviously do the most important thing, the wine tastings as well. So plenty of lovely aspects to the Bordeaux cruise. And then you finish in Bordeaux itself. So the city of Bordeaux has got an amazing wine museum called the Cité du Vin. You'll get the chance to see this. You'll have a ticket included in your tour. And the rest of the time in Bordeaux, because we spend around 3 days in Bordeaux, so there's plenty of time, is to see the grandeur of the buildings in Bordeaux. It really is very Parisian in its feel. And the ship again docks right in the heart of the city. So 2-3 minutes and you're right in the heart there of Bordeaux, and plenty of time to enjoy the city. Again, a fantastic place to visit. It really, really is. I kind of mentioned the Douro at the beginning. The Douro is actually currently doing really well for us. I don't know why it's Portugal. We've got 2 ships there. The enticing Douro itinerary starts and finishes in Porto, whereas we do one called Flavors of Portugal in Spain, which starts in Porto or Madrid. You'll do a 7-night cruise and a 3-night stay in Madrid as well. And on all our itineraries throughout Europe, you've also got the option of doing some cruise and stay holidays. So you can do your 7-night cruise, but then if you fancy a little bit longer, we do a wonderful extension to, say, the Dracula country after you've done the Gems of Southeast Europe cruise. If you've done the Rhine cruise and you want to stay in the Swiss Alps, we do a trip to Lucerne, as well as a stay in Amsterdam, pre-cruise. If you like the Danube, we do a pre-stay in Prague and a post-stay in Munich. So you've got those options as well. And the Bordeaux region I showed you, you've got the pre-stays in the Loire Valley and Paris as well. And also you've got the option of going down to San Sebastian in Spain and Bilbao. So there's lots of different cruise and stay options available throughout our program. I mentioned wine earlier. It doesn't really matter what cruise you do on a European river cruise. There will be some wine involved at some point. But if you like it, a bit more of a connoisseur in wine, we do some particular wine cruises which will have wine experts on board. We'll do wine pairing courses and lectures, as well as some private vineyard tours as well. We do golf program on the Danube, so if you like your golf, we take you off a ship and you play at 4 championship golf courses around Germany and Austria and the Czech Republic as well, where they actually hold the open championships of those countries in those golf courses. So some really prestigious courses to play golf. You're taken there by concierge transport. It really is a pretty amazing program. It's only on the Danube we run that. And last but not least, the Christmas cruises as well. So we do the Christmas markets of Austria, of Germany, and also of France. We do a Christmas market cruise in the Lyon area as well. Okay, just a couple of new ones to tell you about for 2021, just so you know where we're going. The Rhine Castles and Swiss Alps, very similar to the Rhine itinerary I showed you before, but with the added benefit of a little bit of a longer stay in Basel at the end. And we also have an added option of going to Lake Como after your cruise in the Italian Alps. And then with France, we're doing 2 new ones. We're doing Rhône and the Saône River. So you start in a place called Chalon-sur-Saône. You do 4 days on the Saône River before you start. You go down to Lyon, and then you have 3 nights in Lyon and down towards Avignon. So 4 nights on the Saône River and 3 nights on the Rhône River. So if you want to combine both rivers on 1 week's holiday, then you can do so on that new itinerary, the essence of Burgundy and Provence. I mean, you go through the beautiful Provence countryside, the lavender fields, the Beaujolais, Burgundy wine regions, the lots of Romanesque towns in the area where there's some incredible architecture as well to see, truffle farms, olive farms, all sorts of things. If you're a culinary fiend like me, then you've got that option as well. So plenty of things there on that particular itinerary. And then another new one we've got is called the Impressions of the Seine in Paris. Now this starts in Le Havre and finishes in Paris. So you actually do the Seine River in 7 nights in one direction. So there's plenty of more ports of call to enjoy rather than our round trip Paris one we offer. So with this, you'll get a little bit longer in Paris. We overnight in Paris actually. You get Giverny for the Monet aspect to the cruise. If you like your Monet art, then you'll go and see his birthplace, the gardens. You go to the cathedral city of Rouen, which is one of my favourites in Europe again. You've got the beautiful tranquil town of Vernon. And you go to Honfleur, which is a lovely Normandy town, well worth seeing. Again, lots of cobbled streets, fabulous restaurants, and you start or finish in Le Havre on that particular one. It's a great itinerary, it really is. We also take you into Bayeux for the tapestries. You'll get to see the Normandy beaches. And there is going to be something very interesting coming along with Fusion Cruises in 2021, where Harry's putting together a special departure, which will involve coach transport, where basically a ferry from Portsmouth to Le Havre, and then the cruise down to Paris, and then to be picked up by coach and taken back home. So something a little bit different. If you don't want to fly, that's always a good option, especially from the south coast of England. So do look out for information on that. And if you're interested, obviously, Harry will be the man to talk to with more details very, very shortly. And one other new one for 21 for Europe, we've got the Best of Holland and Belgium, which is an Amsterdam round trip. As I said before, we always have done this before around the tulip time. So you've got the Dutch bowl fields around the springtime. But this one also takes you to the Belgian cities of Bruges, Gans, Brussels, Antwerp as well. So we're doing the Best of Holland and Belgium throughout the summer months as well as during the springtime. Okay, so that's given me an idea, giving you the idea of what sort of cruising you can do around Europe. And I mentioned at the beginning, we also do long haul. So very just quickly, I'm just going to go through some of the long haul options for you, not in massive detail, but if there's anything else you need to know about these long haul destinations, then please, obviously, do speak to Harry at Fusion Holidays. But the AmaDara is the ship we have on board on the Mekong River. Now, we were very fortunate to have the wonderful Jay McDonald on board 3 years ago. I think you can still actually see the programme. It's on the Channel 5 catch-up TV channels. It's repeated all the time on Channel 5. But she had a fabulous week with us on this. And it really is a wonderful, wonderful cruise. On the AmaDara, she takes 124 guests All of the accommodation on board is a twin balcony, as you see there. At least 250 square foot in size, so really spacious accommodations. You've still got the sun deck area, the pool area, you've still got the chef's table restaurant. The amenities are very similar to the ships in Europe. But the decor is very much different. You know, it's this Asian colonial feel, the woods feel everywhere. The chef's table restaurant, as you can see there, beautifully designed. Now, what we do with the Mekong, it's a 7-night cruise from Ho Chi Minh City to a place called Pret Kadam. So here we'll start in Ho Chi Minh. You've got the kind of big trading towns, very bustly, very noisy, but really interesting places to visit. You'll go around all the markets. We then take you up into the more rural aspect of this, through Vietnam and into Cambodia. You'll go to the capital of Phnom Penh. We do a trip to the killing fields, which you can do if you want to, but there are other options that day as well. But we'll take you to floating markets, floating villages. You'll go to Buddhist temples to have blessings. You'll get the chance to ride oxes, which apparently is a local mode of transport in Cambodia. And you finish in Pret Kadam, and from there we'll take you to Siem Reap to do the Angkor Wat, the pagodas and the temples, if you extend your stay beyond the 7-night cruise. So the 7-night Mekong cruise is Ho Chi Minh to Pret Kadam. If you want to stay longer, we do a 2-night extension in Ho Chi Minh. We do a 3-night extension in Siem Reap to do Angkor Wat. And we also do a 3-night extension up in the north of the country to do Hanoi, Halong Bay as well. So you can do all of that in a 15-night package, or just a 7-night cruise only. So you can pretty much tailor-make your own duration on that. We cruise the Mekong, obviously, for 21 onwards, every single month apart from May, June and July, when it's kind of the wet season. So we don't want to go then. It's a little bit too rainy. Next up is Africa. This is on the Chobe River. Now, this is on a ship called the Zambezi Queen. She only takes 28 people. So you're very much part of an exclusive group on this ship. 14 suites on board, as you can see from the picture there. They are beautiful. They've got double aspects, so you can see the surrounding river on 2 dimensions. You've still got the sun deck area with a small pool and some beautiful public areas. You've got a wonderful lounge area. You've got a beautiful dining room. We have local entertainment coming on board to entertain you. And it is very much like a safari cruise. So you will go, whilst you're on the Chobe, you will see lots of different animals, particularly elephants and rhinos along the riverbanks. But we also take you on jeep safaris to see other game as well. As you're going on this particular trip, we'll take you to local villages. It's really an amazing experience. Now, it's a 4-night cruise, the Chobe River cruise we do. But what we do, because it's a long way to go just for 4 nights, we do package it with different destinations. So you can fly to Cape Town and do 3 nights in Cape Town at the Cape Grace Hotel on the waterfront. Then you'll fly to Kasana, which you join the ship for the 4-night cruise. And then you finish in Victoria Falls for 2 nights. So we at least do a 9-night cruise and land package. But there's other options as well. You can extend your stay further and do the Rovis Rail train journey from Victoria Falls down to Pretoria. And we also do some safari options as well. So we'll do wildlife in the falls, which will also take you to the Kruger National Park after the cruise, not after you've done Victoria Falls. So if you've always had Africa on your bucket list, then it's not only about the cruise. We do all different aspects to that destination. So please do see Harry, and he'll point you in the right direction. We are taking bookings actually for these long-haul destinations of Mekong and Africa up to 2023 at the moment, up to springtime 23, which seems a long way away, but I'm sure it will soon be with us. And last but not least, just to talk you through quickly the Nile River. This is a new one, so we've got limited information on it yet, but there is going to be a brochure coming out very, very shortly. So if you are interested in Nile, then make yourself known to Harry and he'll forward the brochure to you. It's called Secrets of Egypt and the Nile. So what we're going to be doing is going to be flying from the UK, spending 3 nights pre-cruise in Cairo. We'll do all the museums, Tutankhamun Museum. You'll see the Sphinx. You'll do all of that type of thing whilst you're in Cairo. Then we'll fly down to Luxor. By the way, we stay at the Four Seasons Hotel in Cairo on the riverbank there, a fantastic 5-star luxury hotel. We'll fly you down to Luxor. You'll do a 7-night cruise on the Nile. You'll do some exclusive visits to some of the sites and museums and the pyramids as you go along, and the temples. And when you get to Aswan, you've got the option of doing an excursion to Abu Simbel. That's an optional one. You can do it if you want to, but you don't have to. And you'll go and see Abu Simbel from there. And then you'll cruise back to Luxor. So the cruise aspect is 7 nights. And then you'll fly back to Cairo for one further night in at the Four Seasons in Cairo before you fly home. So this is the ship. It's the AmaDahlia. She's 68 guests. So these are obviously artist impression pictures at the moment. She's going to be launched in September 2021. Beautiful sun deck area, as you can see there. Stunning lobby. This gives you some artist impressions, really. Again, lots of light and space, which we're known for at AmaWaterways. This is a lounge area where we'll have the kind of entertainment. You've got the bar, a lovely place to unwind as well. Different aspects of the main lounge there. One of the staterooms, there's going to be a little living area as well as a bedroom area, so plenty of space in the staterooms to enjoy. The bathroom is going to be exquisite. So you've got bathtubs as well as showers. And cuisine will be a mixture of local and continental. So it will be local authentic dishes served by our wonderful chefs, but also you've got that international side of things as well. And also we're going to have 2 restaurants. So although it's only taking 68 guests, we'll still have the chef's table restaurant option on board the AmaDahlia. We're going to be doing weekly departures from September to December 21 through the early part of 22 and the latter part of 22. June, July and August are a little bit too hot. Some parts of the Nile can dry up, so we're not going to be cruising during those summer months. After you've done the cruise on the Nile, there's 3 options to extend your stay. We're going to be doing a 3-night extension to Dubai, the extension to Amman and Jordan, with the option of going also to Petra, which is one of those amazing sites I think is on everybody's wish list. And we've also got one to Israel as well, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. So there's different options there, pre and post stay, post cruise. This is a new brochure. It will be available very, very shortly. So if you're interested in the Nile, then do let Harry know and he'll be able to send that out to you. So nearly up from me. I've just gone slightly over my time. I do apologise for that, but I hope you found it worthwhile. Just want to finish off really by just reiterating what we include in the fare, because with river cruising, there's different companies include different things. All our ships, obviously, the dining is included. All your wine, beer and soft drinks during lunch and dinner is also included, including champagne actually at breakfast time if you so wish. If you go on the Chobe or the Mekong, it's all inclusive for drinks during your stay as well. We don't do it for Europe because the ships are docked at night in the heart of the towns we visit. So a lot of our guests like to get off the ship and enjoy the local destination, rather than necessarily having to stay on board the ship, which is why we don't include the kind of all-inclusive drinks in Europe. But we do include, during the lunch and dinner, and obviously you've got that sip and sail cocktail out as well. Tea, coffee, bottled waters are always included, all your Wi-Fi, all your wellness program, and all those excursions as well. So pretty much everything you need is included there in the fare. As I mentioned earlier, 21, 22 is on sale now, and also 23 for the long haul program. We have got some early booking savings available. If you're interested in those, then please obviously speak to Harry and he'll point you in the right direction. And obviously, just to reiterate, really, Fusion Cruises and Fusion Holidays are our local AmaWaterways cruise specialists. They really are. Not only are we going to be doing with them the wonderful trip from Le Havre to Paris in 21, but Harry's very kindly offered to offer a door-to-door transfer to London Airport for you. So if there is a cruise that you like and it's a fly cruise, then Harry will take you from your home and take you to London Heathrow and pick you up again the other end. Might not be Harry himself, but it'll be a transport arranged by Fusion. So that will be included. And thank you very much for attending today. Just as a thank you note from AmaWaterways, if you do decide you like the sound of one of these cruises, then there's an additional saving of up to £300 per couple. It's £150 if you do a stateroom. It's £300 per couple if you book a suite, and that's available up to the 1st of July. So a couple of weeks to think about it. But if there's anything you like the sound of, then obviously just speak to Harry and he'll be able to give you some more information. And just to finish off with, just a note on the future of cruising and river cruising. I mean, we do really, obviously, with the COVID situation we're all in at the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty out there in the marketplace. And, you know, how things are going to adapt to the new way of cruising, the new way of holidaying abroad. I mean, one thing river cruising has got certainly an advantage on compared to ocean cruising is obviously there's not as many guests on board and there's plenty of space. But rest assured that we will be taking all preventative measures on board our ships, recommended by the health authorities of the destinations that we're going to be visiting, making sure that higher standards of hygiene are adhered to on board the ship as well, and always working with the destinations that we travel through. So that is a promise from us to you. We are actually at the moment suspending our sailings all the way through to mid-August. We've had that for a while now. But we are a little bit excited to it's a kind of a little bit of a chink of light at the end of the tunnel. It looks like towards the end of August, we might be starting to re-cruise again on the rivers of Europe. So hopefully, certainly the latter stages of this year really won't be affected. So if you fancy a Christmas break, a Christmas market holiday, then they pretty much guaranteed to go ahead as we speak. It's looking like late August as the starting point again for river cruising throughout Europe with AmaWaterways. Again, just like to say thank you very much to everybody for attending. It's been a great privilege for me to talk you through the rivers of Europe and give you a bit more update about what AmaWaterways is all about. I hope you found it of interest. I'm just going to check if we've got any questions. If you've got any questions still, please put through the box. I haven't got any at the moment, which is fine. If you do find you have anything you're wanting to find out, then please do let us know, and I'll be able to obviously help Harry with the answers and get back to you. There's also a kind of not a questionnaire as such, but there's a survey about the webinar, and if you've got any questions there is a contact there you can actually write your questions on as well. So we'll answer those as soon as we possibly can. But thank you for the great information. Thank you, Jane. That's very kind of you. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. It just leaves me to say thank you very much again. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe, everybody. And we hope to welcome you on one of our cruise ships around Europe or the rest of the world in the near future. But thank you very much. Good night.